You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, please give us a 5-star review. You know, I think I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I guess Spotify now has a 5-star review program. So hook a brother up. And also leave comments, guys. Make sure you leave comments on the videos. All that kind of stuff helps get this podcast in front of more men, where we can spread the gospel of being men, right? All right. Speaking of men, I got a really great guest this week. He's got a pretty substantial following on TikTok and YouTube. He's been a dating coach for quite some time now. And you may have heard of him. He goes by Mr. Locario. Mr. Locario, he's a pretty cool guy. You know, he's been featured on a bunch of different television shows, including the Tyra Banks Show and Anderson Cooper. And I just think he gives really good, solid dating advice. I mean, some of his philosophies, you know, maybe I don't fit my lifestyle, you know, like he has an open relationship with his wife. So he's married, but he also has a girlfriend and he still sees like other chicks, and they're allowed to do it too. So it's not like a Chuck Kohout thing where it's polymono. It's just fully open. But you know what? Who am I to judge? You know, the way I look at stuff like that is as long as both parties in the relationship are cool with it, then whatever, man. Like, it's not cheating, then I wouldn't do it. I mean, but that's just me, you know. I mean, whoever, whatever, man. But if it works for him, great. He seems to be happy. I think he's been married for like 15 years. But we will get to that and a bunch of other really cool stuff right after these words. If you guys are anything like me, you're tired of going to grocery stores, buying grooming products that are designed for men, but they just suck, or they smell girly. I also hate going to expensive department stores like Macy's and getting cologne that makes me smell like a little bitch. I want to smell like a fucking man. And I think most women want their men to smell manly as well. And that's why I've partnered with Duke Cannon. Duke Cannon has products for men. They have products that make you smell manly as hell. They have big ass bars of soap. They have really thick body wash. They have beard oil and beard balm. Hair care products. My favorite is their big ass bar of soap. Smells like naval supremacy. It is awesome. And I also buy all of their liquid cologne. It really makes you smell manly, and they have tons of different fragrances. In fact, I have some for each day of the week. Also, when you purchase from Duke Cannon, some of your purchase goes to help out veterans. And if you use duke.comeonmanpod.com, link is in the description, you get free shipping. Win-win. This stuff smells so goddamn good, and the ladies love it. Trust me. Again, that's duke.comeonmanpod.com. The link is in the show notes. All right, joining me this week is a man with a substantial following on TikTok and YouTube. He's been featured on VH1, Fuse, The Dish Network, TLC, ABC Family, The Tyra Banks Show, and Anderson Cooper, among other ventures. I'm a big fan of his date coaching advice. It's Mr. Locario. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining me.
What's up, man? How you doing, man? I appreciate you having me, man. I watch all your TikToks too, so you be popping up in the algorithm. So I'm like, yo, you know, it's good. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, occasionally, yeah. I'll see you in the comments, and I'm like, oh, look at that, he saw it. That's cool. Yeah, we've been following each other for a while, but I didn't realize how big of an influencer you are in the space until just recently. But I mean, like, how'd you end up on the Tyra Banks Show?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was like somebody. What happened was somebody who, like, I knew somebody who knew somebody, and they had an episode and they was talking about like dating and relationships and stuff. So they had this guy on who was talking about like dating, and then they wanted me, and it was like these two other guys they had on there. So we were just talking about relationships and stuff. But it was pretty cool. It was like, you know, because I've been on a few of these like mainstream videos and TV shows and news reports and all that other stuff. But it's funny though, because a lot of that, unfortunately, it's extremely scripted. So it's not like you go on there and you just like say anything you want. You understand? Like they kind of prompt you and they're like, okay, well, what are you going to say? And then, okay, they look over what you're going to say and they're like, all right, then say that you can say this part, but not that part, so it's that type of thing.
Right. Or they'll shoot for like 2 hours for a 45-minute segment or something.
Right. Exactly.
Because they're editing it out like crazy.
Right. And they cut out all the cool parts that you thought were cool. You know what I mean? So it's great. Yeah.
What can you do? So you also have a documentary called Game Kings. Did you produce that?
Yeah. So this right here behind me right here, that's the poster right there, Game Kings. And so it's basically the first documentary ever on game, you know what I'm saying? On basically like masculinity, manhood, learning how to self-improve, learning how to deal with women, stuff like that. And so we have a bunch of people in it that, we have dating coaches in there. We have a guy, Rosebud, who used to be a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you know what I'm saying? We got, authors on there and stuff like that too. So basically what we did was that we just came together and put something together so that people understood what game is and why it's actually important. Because I think a lot of times in society, we don't really, people don't really understand that when you're doing whatever you're doing, you're using game, period. You understand? You're using a strategy because that's all a game is. It's a strategy to get what you want. You know what I'm saying? And so we try to basically express that in the documentary and let people know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, I usually say stuff like dating is sales, right? Game is essentially sales, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, and to an extent, because the thing is that it's really you putting yourself out there to get a certain type of result. Like just like in sales, you go in door to door, you're trying to market something, or you're trying to get people to, or persuade people to say, hey, look, get this instead of that, or do this instead of that. So it's more so asserting yourself in that situation so that you can get the best outcome for yourself, but also on the flip side, give the best outcome to the people you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's when you get the win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. So I watched the teaser for Game Kings. Who's the elderly guy? I say elderly. I don't know how old he is, but the older guy.
Oh yeah. That's Rosebud. Yeah.
That's him. Okay, so the pimp.
Right.
Oh my God, the clip that you have in the teaser where he's like, "Bitch, you think I don't? Or don't tell me." What did he say?
I got the clip right here. I can play it. Hold on. This.
Hi, how you doing? You think I give a fuck about how you doing, bitch? All I want you to motherfucking do is open your mouth and say something so I can hear how your voice sounds, so it can tell me how the fuck to get at you.
Yeah, I took that soundbite. I play that sometimes during my show because
that's fucking money right there. Like I was dying laughing. Just tell me what I need to know so I can get at you. Like,
right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like raw. That's like the raw stuff, of course. And that's the thing. That's the difference between like mainstream stuff and like stuff you see on the internet, which is, I think, good about the internet is that you have more honest, situations and opinions and just like perspectives, on certain things. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's good.
Yeah, lots of different perspectives. Let me ask you a question. How did you become a dating coach, and how long have you been doing it?
Oh man, I've been doing this since like 2007, 2008. So it's been a while. And the reason why I did it was my business partner, Miles Cunningham, was also in the documentary. We used to do like, music and music videos and like a lot of like just entertainment type stuff. And then I said to myself, and I was also working in an after school program at the time, teaching kids like video production. So I said to myself, I was like, what can I do, or what do I know how to do that I can make a living off of? And, it could be something that's my own thing. So me and him was talking, and, we made I told the story before, it was like, I made a list of things that I thought I was good at. And one of the things on the list was getting laid. So then I was like, okay, I can either be a porn star or I could teach guys how to get laid. And so that was like the thought right there at the minute. So then I immediately the next day just went on YouTube. This is like in 2008, like way back. Yeah. And I did some videos, and like I did like 6 videos. One was like how to get a girl back to your place, how to kiss a girl when you first meet her, stuff like that. And I put my email address on the bottom of the videos, and I said, hey, if you guys have any questions, you just email me. So I was getting like, I got like 100 something questions within that weekend. And I was like, whoa, this is something that, cause I didn't know, like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know that there was this many guys who needed help. So I thought, I assumed there was some, but I didn't know it was this many. So when I saw that it was this many, I was like, wow, okay, I guess this is something that people could use or need. And then I just kept making videos. I made a website. I put out a free ebook at the time, and then it just snowballed from there. And then I started getting like contacted by different websites to write for them, and different articles, stuff like that. Yeah, and I just kept it going.
Just snowballed like that.
Yeah. So it's been a minute.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a certified coach?
No.
Have you seen that kind of stuff? Like people put out TikToks and in their bio, certified dating coach.
Right. I think it's okay. I guess it's cool if that's the case. Cause like, I guess, see, that's the thing. People who don't know, they need things like that, like certified, so that the customer feels, comfortable, like, oh, this person must know what they're talking about because they're certified. But my thing is, things like this is, it's just either you understand it or you don't. You got it or you don't. You lived it or you didn't. So it's kind of like someone saying, like, I'm a certified, like, I don't know, war veteran or so. I don't know, like, if you either been in war or you didn't. You understand? So if I need to learn about how to get, tactical war things, I'm going to talk to the person who was in war, not someone who got certified. You know what I'm saying? Like, they went to some school to learn about war. You know what I mean? So that's how I put it.
I always think of it like the movie Tommy Boy, where he's like, I can get a good look at a T-bone steak by shoving my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
Right, exactly.
That's how I look at like certified dating coaches. Now, just to be fair, I have a lot of dating coaches on, and I like to interview them, but I've only had one that was actually certified. I asked him, how'd you get certified? He took some kind of course, I don't know, over a period of, I think it was like a 2-year course.
Right. Yeah. It's college for coaching or something like that.
Yeah. And I guess what the big difference is, I guess you learn certain processes and, more psychology type. Yeah, I don't know. Right. I don't know. But yeah, like you said, you either know how to get laid or you don't. And the information that you give people is either helping them or it's not.
Right. Exactly. I think more so the certified stuff is more just like ways to learn how to coach, specifically coaching. Like, okay, if you have the client, ask them these types of questions and then go, the next step is this. So it's the little stuff like that. But when I coach, the way that I coach is I really just get into who the person really is, what they're about, what they've been through. And then from that framework, I say, okay, this is where you want to go. And based off of where you're at, I can formulate something for you specifically. So if I'm doing one-on-one coaching, that's basically how it works. Because sometimes what happens is that when we do like videos, like if a person's watching a video on YouTube or looking up stuff online, it's really general in a lot of cases. Like you can, get specific things that could apply to your life, but it's general. But if, let's say, for example, a guy has some sort of trauma from back in the day and he has some issue where he's scared to, like he has this fear of interacting with women, I can't just be like, yeah, just go out there and approach. Like I can tell him that, but he's not really going to do it unless I know what's going on with him so that we can work on something so that it could be easier for him. So, for example, one of the things that I've done before was, like if I would take a guy out and he was really, really scared of talking to women, I would say, okay, we're going to go out. We will go out and I say, hey, listen, all I want you to do, and we do this for like, probably like an hour or two. I say, okay, you're going to go up to women and just ask for directions. And that's it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I would need to know where he's at first in order to see that he needs the baby steps. You see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times with the certified stuff, I guess they teach you sort of that direction of like, oh, this is how you get people from here to here. You know what I'm saying? But
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. On the same vein of different dating coaches, you did a video the other day on different types of dating coaches.
Right.
Which kind of coach are you?
Right. So I basically said, I titled it The Real Game Coach. So basically like a game coach is more so a coach who teaches you overall about the realistic aspects of games. So like, meaning like, for example, and like I tell this to all my clients and everybody I work with, I say, listen, if you actually want to get results, you're going to have to work your ass off. You understand what I'm saying? And so what it is that working on yourself, and then that in turn gets you to really receive the type of women and interactions that you want with women based off of you becoming a certain type of guy. But it's like you have to realistically be that guy in order to get the type of results you want. So for example, there's a lot of guys out there, the reason why they can't get women is because they have unrealistic expectations of what they specifically can attract. So this is why a lot of times people back in the day, got so upset at pickup artists, because pickup artists was like, hey, any of you guys can just say these 3 magic words and women will flock to you. And it's like, that's not the truth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A woman, generally what happened is just like a guy wants the best for himself, a woman wants the best for herself. So if you're trying to get the best, you got to be the best. You know what I mean? If you want to get a certain type of woman or a certain caliber chick, you got to be a certain caliber dude. You know what I mean? And so and a lot of guys, when you say that, they think about, I got to be like the best looking guy. I got to be the tallest. That's not what it is. It's a certain mindset that you have to have first. And then that's the type of thing that's going to realistically get you where you want to go. But within that mindset, it's something where it's going to tell you, well, if I really want to get this going, I understand I got to put in work. And then you put in that work. So a lot of people, they're not ready for it. Like there's people that actually have to turn away who wanted coaching. And I was like, listen, if you're not ready to do this, let me know and we can, you can come back when you're ready, because I don't want you to waste your money or your time. But this is what you actually have to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why people DM me all the time and they're like, oh, I got questions. I'm like, I'm not really a dating coach. I'm a podcast host.
Right.
And the reason why I say that, I mean, because I could start, offering one-on-one services and stuff like that. But the people that don't want to do the work are the people that would annoy the shit out of me,
Yeah. That was.
So I have zero aspirations at this point in time to be an actual dating coach. Cause I'm like, I don't know if I can handle it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you come across that a lot of times too. People that they want a certain outcome, but they don't want to do the things to get the outcome. And it's just like, well, I can't do nothing for you. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's why you put a decent paywall in front of your services, though, because you're like, look, hey, if you're serious, this is the cost, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So, let me know who have been some of your biggest influences
as far as like coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would say, definitely some of the guys that's in the documentary, Ron Wills, Rosebud is in there, Boss Mac Topsoil. So those 3 guys, they're, a little bit older than me. So I was watching them from back in the day. So it was like even an honor just to get them on a documentary. Other guys like Alan Roger Curry, he has the Mode 1 approach. Definitely he influenced me. Another dude named Tariq Nasheed. He used to be he used to do relationship coaching and stuff like that back in the day. So it's been a few people. I remembered I read some books like I forgot who it was. I think it was like David D'Angelo back in the day. He had a book that I read that I thought was interesting. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's mostly those guys that I mentioned that really influenced me to really do what I'm doing now, and just seeing like how they've done it, and the help that they've, done it, how they helped other guys made me want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Help other guys too. You see what I mean? Yeah,
sure. I mean, were they doing stuff like online, or did you just know them in person? Like how did, I mean, some of the guys like Rosebud, for instance. I mean,
Rosebud, I heard about Rosebud a while ago because I think he's in this documentary called American Pimp, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the documentaries. So I heard about him from years ago. Okay. And same thing with Tariq Nasheed. I heard about him years ago because he used to do this podcast called the Mac Lessons Radio Show. So he was like one of the first guys out there, like really doing that. And the same thing with Alan Roger Curry. Alan Roger Curry's been doing stuff since the 90s. And so I used to hear him on Block Talk Radio and stuff like that. Ron Wills, I used to see him on YouTube, stuff like that. So it was like just running across these guys. Same thing with Boss Mac Topsoil on YouTube, running across these guys' information. And I was like, I resonated with what they were saying. So what I noticed was a lot of people were talking about relationships, but they were talking about it in the sense of what you would hear like in the mainstream or what the red pill will call like blue pill, you know what I'm saying? Like that's stuff. So it's like, I was like, okay, these people aren't really saying anything real or that's like realistic. They're saying things that sound good. They're saying things that people want to hear. So when I heard people that was saying real stuff, I was like, okay, I'm gravitating to that. And because it reminded me of my life. So I was like, okay, cool. I could rock with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I was the same way when I first got into this stuff. It was because like I had no problem like getting dates and like sleeping with women, but I couldn't keep them around longer than like 2 or 3 dates. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Right. And so I start looking into this stuff, and sure, yeah, there's a lot of, like you said, like blue pill or mainstream stuff where they're like, oh, well, you just need to do this, buy your flowers, buy your chocolates and shit. And it's like, right. I've tried that. That doesn't work, but then you find, actual people that know what the fuck they're talking about, that get results. And you're like, oh, I've been doing this wrong my whole life. Like, what the fuck?
Right. That's when you wake up and you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now, Yeah.
And you start putting the pieces together and you're like, this oddly makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Because I think most guys, we've been through that situation where we were the nice guy. We was, doing all the simping and doing all that extra stuff and get the short end of the stick. And you're just like, what the hell? And then as you get older, you realize, you think back in the day, like, man, I was like, what was I doing back then? That's terrible,
Yeah. So, I mean, you said that you started this stuff though, because you felt like that was a strong point though, right? Like you were able to get laid and stuff like that. But was there ever a period in your life like that where you sort of were the simpy guy? Because I've got stories, man.
Yeah. So when I was younger, because the first time I had sex, I was 16. So I'm 40 now. I just turned 40. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when I was 16, so from about 16 to about like maybe like 22, 23-ish, that was the time where I was like figuring stuff out, doing a bunch of mistakes, crying over women, like it was like around that time. And then as I was, but the funny thing was this, is that once I was 16 and I had sex with the first time, that's when I started to really like put in a lot of work. So I was still making mistakes, but I was getting a lot of success at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I was, nothing was happening. I was like, okay, I'm still like making things happen. So I was learning certain things. And then as I got older and I started to continue to do what I do, but also like study other people that was talking about game and stuff like that, I was like, okay, I see where I made a mistake. This is what I recognize that I did right. And then I just kept going like that. So when I decided to coach, what I did was I said, okay, because even when I first started, I feel like I knew more than most guys about certain things, but I still was like young, because I think I was probably like maybe about like 26, 27 when I started, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was still learning, you know what I mean? I'm still learning today too, but I was still learning like when I was that young. But I was putting in so much work that I knew so many things that worked and so many things that didn't work, that I was able to help other people with it. So my whole issue a lot of times when I look at things like YouTube and social media is that I think it's a great thing that we have YouTube and social media and all these other things, because it gives everybody a voice. But then I always say at the same time, the bad part about it is that it does give everybody a voice. So therefore it gives everybody a voice. That means you're going to have some certain voices who don't know what they're saying, teaching other people things. And then those people end up messing up their situations because they're getting information by someone who looks like they know what they're talking about, but they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. And they're just kind of doing it just for the money or just for the clout and the attention or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Now I see your dating advice for men a lot, but looking at your website, you also coach women.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the biggest issues you see women having on the dating scene?
Yeah, women generally, their issue is just being very unrealistic and also not knowing how to keep men. So the same way where men generally have a problem getting laid, women have a problem keeping the guys that they like. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So with women, I have to teach them how to keep the man that they actually want. So a lot of guys, for some reason, I understand why they think this, but a lot of guys think women have it easy. So they're like, oh, a woman could just go on Tinder and get like 50 matches and she can get on Instagram and a bunch of guys will be in a DM, which is true.
Yeah.
98% of those guys are invisible to her. She's not really interested in them. There's that small percentage of guys she's interested in, and she wants to keep those guys interested and want those guys for a boyfriend, husband, or whatever it is. Yeah. So I teach women how to be attractive to the point where those types of guys would want to stick with them. You see what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like the place that I, come at it when it comes to, information related to the women. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Men look at it like women have it easy because what men are typically looking for is sex.
Exactly.
And women, although they like sex, they are looking for more long-term commitment typically.
Right.
And
I get sex anytime you want, so it's like,
yeah. I always say like, women are the gatekeepers to sex, but men are the gatekeepers to relationship.
Mm,
so that's why, if women can put out, no problem. But if they're not doing the right things, they're not going to keep the guy interested long-term.
Right. Exactly.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see men making? I think you've already mentioned some of them.
I think the thing is, one of the biggest mistakes that guys make is actually not putting themselves out there. I think there's this thing nowadays where a lot of guys have been confused and think that they can just get women to come to them. So that I keep hearing this thing where guys will say, and unfortunately it's like, it's been spread around so much where guys will say, well, you know what? I'm gonna get my money up and I'm gonna, start looking good. I'm gonna go in the gym. And then women are going to start coming to me. Now, all those things are great to get your money up, look good, all that other stuff, get fit and everything. The problem is guys actually believe women are literally going to just start coming to them in droves and that's it. You understand? Or they're going to
that's not how any of this works.
Right. You know what I mean? And so what they'll do is that they'll spend a lot of time working on, like getting in the gym and making money and all this, which is great. Again, nothing wrong with it. But if you don't have the skill to attract a woman and keep her interested, you're not going to get the women. Because I always try to explain this to guys is that even though all of that is going on, even if a woman is checking you out or giving you some sort of choosing signal that she's interested, you still have to make the choice to approach, talk to her and create the situation no matter what. Because 99% of women are not going to approach you in the street and try to, like get your number. They're not going to do that. Even if they're attracted to you, they're not going to do it. They're going to always be waiting on you. Most of these women are going to be passive when it comes to the situation, which means a guy has to be assertive. So one of the biggest mistakes is guys thinking that they don't have to be assertive, thinking they can just fall back. And one magical day, once they got all their stuff together, women are just going to start flocking to them. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You're going to be wasting your time. You're going to be a guy who is fit, has money and all this other stuff going on. And you're going to be that guy, but not attractive to women. You're going to be that guy, but you're going to be lonely. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be no women who's going to really want to get with you. So I tell guys doing those things can make you more attractive in general, meaning that if you do go out and talk to women and you're assertive, she's like, okay, cool. This guy is attractive. He also has money. He has this and that going on. So that's a bonus. But just having that and just sitting on the sidelines thinking women are going to rush up to you and beat your door down, it's not going to happen. It's really not.
Well, I hear women say it all the time, like men are the hunters. They're supposed to chase. Like that's how they think. So they're like, I'm not going to go out of my way and approach a guy. He should be reading my mysterious signals and shit.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, guys, you need to learn how to do that.
Right. Because if not, nothing's going to happen. Because I always tell guys this. People in general, we go with the path of least resistance. So I always tell guys to think from a woman's perspective. Imagine a woman who has a bunch of guys approaching her, talking to her, trying to get at her, right? Even guys she thinks is attractive. Why would she go out of her way to approach you when she's risking being rejected, right? You understand what I'm saying? She's scared of getting rejected because she doesn't usually approach guys. So what she's going to do is go with the path of least resistance is I'm just going to wait for the guys to come to me. Mm-hmm. So she's not going to go out of her way to come to you because she has so many guys come to her. She's just going to pick from the guys who are coming to her. And that's how it's going to go. So you're going to be sitting there on the sidelines thinking that, I'm this super awesome guy and he's going to come to me. And also too, on another note, sometimes I tell guys this, and this is why having game is important, because you have to understand and be aware of your position and your situation and have self-awareness. because sometimes if this is the funny part, if you have it going on, like let's say you're fit, you got your money, you're looking good, you're dressing nice and all this other stuff. Sometimes women will be intimidated by you, and that intimidation will make them fall back and not want to deal with you. You see what I'm saying? So this is another reason why you would still have to approach and interact and make it happen. You see what I'm saying? Because what happens is that you're thinking, I'm so awesome, she should come and approach me. But the reason why she won't approach you is because you're awesome and she's scared. Just like how if a guy sees a woman who he thinks is a 10 and he sees another woman who he thinks is a 6, most guys would approach the 6 even though they want the 10 because they're too intimidated to approach the 10. So if you're a male 10, why would a woman approach you? She's going to be intimidated just like you're intimidated to approach a woman who's a 10. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So what happens is that guys don't ever think about those dynamics. They just think, well, you know, I'm looking good. I got money and all this, so women should just come to me. And I'm like, that's not how women work. So if you're afraid as a guy to approach women and you're supposed to approach women, what would make you think a woman is not afraid to approach you when she's not even supposed to approach you? You see what I mean? So that's what I try to tell these dudes. They don't get it.
Yeah. You know, that just made me think of the whole idea of the dad bod phenomenon too, right? Like a lot of women are self-conscious. Mm-hmm. They, they are intimidated by really good looking guys. Mm-hmm. So they will go towards a dad bod type guy because they don't have to try hard then. Oh, definitely. And that's the advantage guys can have when it comes to this game, because a lot of guys think they got to be like 6 foot, 6-pack, all of that. That's all cool. But what happens is most women are actually more comfortable with a guy who, you should still put yourself together well, shave, brush your teeth, look as good as you can. But women are more comfortable and more like receptive to an average guy who is the best he can be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She's like, okay, well, because she wants to be the pretty one in a relationship. She doesn't want a guy overshadowing her. She doesn't want to feel super insecure, because as much as a woman is sexually attracted to like a really tall, handsome guy with, 6-pack body type of thing, she's also nervous to be with him because she's like, oh, other women are going to want him. I actually saw this guy on the TikTok, and I used a clip for one of my videos. He said he talked to this girl on Bumble, right? And Bumble's goofy, but anyway, it's trash. I don't like it. Yeah.
He talked to this girl on Bumble, and he said to her like, hey, let's get together and get a drink. And she said to him, I would, but you're actually too good looking. And he's like, what the hell? And so so he asked the woman in the comments, like, he was telling the story. He said, ladies in the comments, I need to know what is that even about? So most of the women in the comments are saying, oh, well, she probably thought you were going to like break her heart if she fell in love with you. Another woman's going to take your attention. So all of the insecurities that we have stopped them from actually really making moves with some of these guys that a lot of these guys think are getting all the women. Now, don't get it twisted. If a guy's good looking, he's tall, he's this and that. Yeah, he can get girls. But what happens is that that's not all women want. Most women actually have an open type, meaning they'll want a Chris Hemsworth, but they'll also get with a Tobey Maguire. You know what I'm saying? So It doesn't always have to be all Chris Hemsworth. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing.
Right. And her finding a Chris Hemsworth is pretty unrealistic. I mean,
right. In most cases, exactly.
Statistically, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Now, I noticed that you have a Patreon, but you also promote badboymembership.com.
Right.
What's the difference between the two, and is one a better option for men than the other?
Right. So, so on my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Mr. Locario. So we do a show called The Bad Boy Show. So on the Patreon, it's basically just like a podcast where we talk about current events, but then we also have a main topic for the show. So, so we'll have like current events of what happened during the week. We talk about like Kanye and Kim Kardashian or whatever, and things that's going on. And then we also talk about a main topic, dealing with relationships and stuff like that. So that's basically the Patreon. Now, the membership, though, the Bad Boy membership is basically like courses. You see what I'm saying? It's like step-by-step how to, audio and video tutorials about specific things about the game, relationships, dating, hooking up, and stuff like that. So that's the Bad Boy membership is more expensive than the Patreon. The Patreon's more like entertainment. The bad boy membership is like education. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
Right. So that's like the difference. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of education, you also have some books out there. You have How to Have Sex with 2 Women in a Day.
Right.
That's next on my list. My girlfriend won't appreciate that. Yeah. 60-second game. How to Get Shit Done, and the Bad Boy Book.
Right.
Any other books coming down the pike?
Yeah. So I actually have a book that's coming out. This is the cover of the book. So this is the cover of my new book, and it's called Looks Don't Matter. So I got the picture of the guy, you can't see his face or whatever. So that book actually, so it's called Looks Don't Matter, 7 Ways to Be Attractive to Women That Have Nothing to Do with Your Looks. So the reason why I wrote that book is because, in this YouTube space and, just online, a lot of guys are so obsessed with looks, you understand? And it's like, it's only about looks. And if you don't look good, the girl's not going to, and it's like, looks play a part in, attraction and stuff like that. But even in the book, I actually talk about, the 5 types of attraction. So there's physical, sexual, behavioral, resource, and friendship attraction. So what happens is the strongest form of attraction is sexual attraction. And what happens is that sexual attraction all the time doesn't mean that you're the best looking dude. You understand what I'm saying? And so sexual attraction is a combination of your looks, your appearance, and your behavior. So you can have a guy who, let's say, a guy who's like 5'9", 5'10". He's not like a 6 foot guy. He's like a 5'9", 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" average height, right? He dresses well and he has a masculine dominant attitude. That guy, he's going to get a lot of women who are sexually attracted to him because of the way he comes across and the way he interacts with women, right? But that has nothing to do with just how, his face looks and how he was born. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It has more to do with the whole package of who this guy is and what he's about, which can attract the woman. But so a lot of times what happens is guys, they miss out on dealing with women because they're like, well, I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not 6 foot and she looks like the type of girl who wants a guy and dudes do this all the time. This is ridiculous. Yeah. They don't even know what this girl likes, but they assume
it's self-limiting beliefs right there. Yeah.
Exactly, right. So that book is just sort of just to get guys to get out of their own head and realize or recognize how they can be attractive in all these different areas. You see what I'm saying? So that they can put that into their game when it comes to interacting with women. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I always say confidence, trumps looks any day.
Oh yeah, it does. And that's the thing people don't get. Like, because, it's funny. Most of the things that guys would need to learn about women, they would know if they just paid attention, if they observe how women respond to things, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is that women they respond very well to guys who are assertive, guys who are confident, guys who are dominant, because it makes them feel safe, comfortable, and like they can just relax and be feminine. You see what I'm saying? And so the reason why women love confident men is because women see in confident men what they don't see within themselves. So it's like, I aspire to be like that guy. This is why guys who have really strong game, if they're when they're very influential in their women's lives, what happens is that the woman starts to actually take on certain like thought processes, characteristics of her man. So a lot of times what happens is if you meet a woman who has a boyfriend and her boyfriend is really on point and has a huge influence over her, if I'm speaking to that woman, it should sound like I'm speaking to her boyfriend in certain situations, because she'll start saying things the way he says it. She'll start thinking about things the way he does it because he has that much of an influence. So a guy's confidence, when he's confident, a woman generally is looking at that like, wow, I want to be around that. I want some of that energy. You feel what I'm saying? Because it balances out her insecurity, and she feels good being around that type of confident energy because it makes her feel a little bit more confident even just being with that man. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why confidence is important, because it makes her feel good about it, feel good about being with him. When a guy's insecure, the insecurity reminds her of her insecurity. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is why she's repelled by it. She's like, oh, I don't want to deal with you, because it's reminding her of what she doesn't like within herself. You see what I'm saying? So the guy who's confident is something to look up to. The guy who's insecure is a reflection or reminder of what she doesn't really like within herself. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I tell guys, when you're a guy who's on point, it's almost like you're upgrading the woman's mind. You're upgrading the girl's life by having her with you. This is why I tell guys you have to understand your value, because when you understand your value, you understand how valuable you are to women. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of dudes don't really recognize that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Now, what do you like making more? Documentaries, YouTube videos, or writing? What do you like doing?
I think it's funny. I do not like writing books. Like it's it's like I like having books because I have like 6 books or something like that, and it's such a crazy process. You understand? Like I have a friend that I know. Shout out to him. His name is Alfie Kingdom. He's also like a coach and stuff like that. He's written like 17 books in like I think like a year and a half, and I'm like, dude, how do you do this? And all the books are great. And I'm just like, so he has just like a knack for that. Like me, like I write and then I write a bunch of stuff, then I got to get it edited and it's just like all over the place. So like once I get it done, I'm like, finally, this is done. Yeah. But it's such a grueling process. So I'm not really like a big writer, but as far as like creating content on YouTube, that's like the thing I enjoy the most, because it's like the funnest thing for me to do. I like to put out a lot of stuff in volume, because I always have these different ideas every day of, okay, I could talk about this, or this happened in the news. I could talk about that and relate it to this, and then just like put it out there. So I really like, doing the videos. Documentaries, we're doing a Game Kings Part 2 this year. Doing the documentaries is great. The only thing with documentaries also is that it's a lot of work. So this movie, it took us like a year, because it was me and my business partner. We edited the whole thing ourselves. So it took us like a year and change to edit this. So the next one, we might hire some people to help us edit, because it was just like a crazy process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, this year I decided to write a book. The book I was going to write is not on like dating specifically. It's just on like everything I wish I knew when I was 18,
Right.
And I sat down, I sort of brainstormed it out. I'm like, yeah, this is how it's going to go. And then I sat down to write, and I wrote out the foreword, and I've gone back and rewrote that like 5 times already.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't get anything done here.
I remember my first book. I remember, actually this book right here, How to Have Sex with 2 on a Day. Yeah. When I wrote that, it took me 3 years to write that. Now, the reason why it took 3 years is because the first year and a half, I was like just going like every day almost, right? Then I took like probably 8 months off. I just didn't feel like, I was like, oh, this is like, it was like I was stuck, but at the same time, like I was writing things, but I didn't like how it was coming out. And then I slowly went back to it, where I just sat down. I was like, I gotta write. I said, even if it's a sentence, even every day I gotta write at least a sentence. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then I just sat down and just was like, all right, let me get through this and finish it. And I finally got it done. But yeah, it's just, for me personally, writing books, I have nothing but respect for people who write books, because it's not an easy thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have a newfound respect for everyone, every book that I've read so far.
Right.
So you have a video on how men should never prove themselves to women. Can you give us a Cliff's Notes on what you mean by that?
Yeah. So basically what a lot of guys do is, and unfortunately a lot of guys are indoctrinated and conditioned to think this, they think that or this is how guys think. They have a hope that a girl will like them. They see a girl that they're interested in. Oh, she's hot. Man, I hope she gives me her number. I hope I get to go. You know what I mean? And so that hope creates a situation where guy's trying to prove himself to the woman, either directly or indirectly. So, he's like, hey, come on, like, we should get together. Look at this car I got. Look at this money I got. Look at whatever. They're trying to put forward a certain image or vibe that, hey, you should pick me, right? Now, when I say don't prove yourself to a woman, it means that you have to figure out what you want and then have the woman prove herself to you. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is that guys come into the situation like they're the employee and the woman's the employer, like she's trying to hire him for her company. So I say, flip that. have her come in for the interview and then you hire her. See what I'm saying? But the thing is that you have to first figure out what you want and what you're about and the type of things you want from women. So once you do that, then it becomes a thing where I'm not worried about if she likes me. I'm thinking about, do I like her, to see if I should even continue with her? And it's just a mindset shift. And then that shifts the way you interact with women throughout the entire interaction. So if you're talking to a girl, you randomly approach a girl on the street, at the bar, or if you're on a first date or whatever it is, your whole vibe is different because now you're trying to get her to basically, prove herself to you. You're asking her questions to see, okay, do I even like this woman? You understand? Because like, you're looking at her like, yeah, she's cute. I'm attracted to her physically, but who is she actually? And the thing is, most guys don't do that. So what happens is that almost makes you stand out in a lot of situations, because you're talking to her and you're interacting with her where you're requiring her to be more than just a pretty face. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the thing that's going to flip it to where sometimes what'll happen is that a woman will, because for example, let's say you're like, man, I like girls who read books. And then when you're talking to this girl, be like, hey, what's the last book you read? And she's like, book? I haven't read a book since like second grade. And like, damn, you don't read books.
Get out.
Exactly. She's like, what? Like, what is that? I'm like, man, like, you're cute and all, but I mean, you got to read some books. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just a different vibe. So now you go from the guy trying to impress her to you getting the girl to try to impress you. You see what I'm saying? And even if you're in a situation where the girl that you're talking to may not necessarily be interested in you, what happens is that you cultivate a certain type of personality to where no matter what woman you're talking to, you still have that vibe of, I'm not proving myself to any of y'all. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you're not like me. I don't care, whatever. I don't care what it is, but I have that energy regardless of when I deal with women. So you don't have to, you're not putting it on. It's just how you are. And it becomes part of your vibe and your repertoire when you're interacting with women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I learned a while back was whoever is asking the questions is in control of the conversation. So if I was ever on a date and I found myself where she was asking me a lot of questions, I'd be like, whoa.
Right.
Before I answer that, answer this question. And then I was flipping around. Now I'm asking the questions. And like most of the time, women don't even realize it. And then next thing you know, they're the ones that are trying to prove themselves to you.
Right.
It's a great tactic. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like videos on red flags in women are really popular. Can you give me 3 red flags to look out for in women?
Okay, that's interesting. I'll say, well, one of them that I talk about a lot is, when this goes specifically for that particular woman dealing with you, is when she is not listening to what you're saying. So what I mean is that, and you have to set this up to see if she's going to be this type of woman. So for example, I talk about this all the time on online dating sites. It's a red flag if you are telling a woman, hey, or you might say to a woman, hey, are you free Friday night to get a drink? Right. And women will say this all the time. Hey, how about we get to know each other more before, you know what I mean? Or they'll say that type of stuff. Right now, that's a red flag, because what happens is that the women who are interested in getting a drink with you, they'll just say, yeah, I'm free Friday night, or I got to work Friday night, but I could do Saturday. They'll just respond to that. Yeah. The woman who's saying, oh, can we get to know each other more? She's not really that interested in you. So it's a red flag because it's showing that she doesn't really have that much interest in you. Okay. So for most guys, what I tell those guys is that either you can just move on and not talk to her, or you can say to her, hey, listen, I don't really want to talk too much on this app, but what you can do is, here's my number. Call me and we'll talk. Now, again, you're giving her another way to follow your lead. Now, if she doesn't call you, red flag, because she's not listening to what you're saying. So that's one of the red flags. You got to prompt a situation to where a woman has to listen to you and follow your directions. And if she doesn't, that's a red flag, because it's telling you she's not actually interested in you. Now, another red flag I would say is when you're trying to get flirtatious with a woman and, build sexual tension with her or whatever, and she's being very wishy-washy with the energy, meaning like 1 minute she's, into it. The next minute she's not. 1 minute she's into it. The next minute she's pulling back. That's a red flag. When a woman is doing that, I usually tell guys not to really even bother to continue with her, because what I tell guys is you need to see 100% cooperation when you're dealing with a woman. You see what I mean? Because usually the girls that are sort of wishy-washy like that, those are usually the girls that if you do have sex with them and hook up with them, not all the time, but there are times where those girls are the ones that regret it later. And then they're the ones that'll say, oh, I felt, taken advantage of. And I'm like, you don't want those problems. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So when she's on and off like that, hot and cold, I tell guys to leave that alone. You see what I'm saying? And find a woman who's more, about being consistent with wanting to make something happen. Because a woman who are really, really sexually attracted to you, they're going to make it happen with little to no hesitation. They'll just be about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And another red flag I would say is when a guy is like, dating a girl or, getting to know her, hooking up with her, whatever it is. And she is being, and this is very subtle, but you got to pay attention to this. When a woman is being like low key disrespectful, and I say low key because if you don't pay attention, you won't notice it. So for example, let's say, you're dating a girl, right? And usually they try to do this in the form of jokes. You understand? And they try to make it seem like they're joking, but what they're really doing is disrespecting you. So for example, you might go out with a girl and she might say, oh, why'd you wear that tie? You look kind of stupid with that tie. And then you're like, what are you talking about? Right. And like, if you feel offended, she's like, come on, I'm just joking. It's not that big. You know what I'm saying? Like, but she's really disrespecting you. And so what happens is that those little quote unquote jokes turn into more jokes, which turns into more to actual blatant disrespect. You see what I'm saying? And so what happens is that when you see a woman sort of nitpicking or making fun of you or like, doing little snide remarks, you know what I'm saying? And, like you might say, yeah, I'm excited because I just got my bachelor's degree. And she'll say something like, oh, I didn't even think you were that I didn't think you were that smart. You know what I mean? Like, that it's little things like that. You're like, the hell is that about? You know what I mean? So you got to pay attention to that. And when that happens, you have to nip that in the bud. You be like, listen, don't talk to me like that. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. Because what happens is, when you let it slide, it becomes something bigger as time goes on. And then you get into a situation where a girl is not respecting you and you're just not really, feeling that interaction because it has that negative tone in the situation. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. And if a woman doesn't respect you, like you're not going to keep her around anyway. Right. She's going to dump your ass to fight some other guy that she does respect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So your website, MrLocario.com, says that besides being a dating coach, you're also a rapper. Two questions on that. How has being a rapper helped you with dating and relationships?
Man, how's that? That's an interesting question. Well, it's funny. I'll tell you this. Back in the day, like this is like maybe like I can't remember exactly what year this was, but it had to be like maybe 10, 12 years ago, whatever. I used to make these, this is when people still was using CDs. So it was like way before Spotify and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So I would have these mixtapes. I actually almost got signed 3 times to actual like, record labels. And all 3 of those times, two of the companies were independent. And I think another company was like not a major, but like up there, whatever. And it just didn't pan out with all 3 of those for crazy ass reasons I ain't got to get into right now. But so after that was going on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go out there and just do my stuff and be independent. So I would go to Times Square, get a bunch of CDs, press them up, and I would sell my CDs on the street. So what I would do is I would, when I would see women out there, I would sell it to the women, certain women. And then if they would stop and, listen, I would have my CD player to listen to some of it or whatever. And if the girl was cute, I'd be like, yo, listen, what are you doing later today? You know what I mean? And then I would like exchange numbers with her. Or sometimes the girls will come and I'll be like, hey, listen, I'm going to do a freestyle for you. And if you like it, then you could get my CD or whatever. So I would freestyle for the girl, but the freestyle really wasn't a freestyle. It was like a written thing I had pre-planned and I would just add her name into it.
Okay.
So I would do that. And the girls would be like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then I'll be like, yo, what you doing later on? So there was times where I hooked up with girls just being out there selling CDs. So that's kind of like, connecting that to that. So I kind of used that to make things happen. And it was funny because what was interesting about being in Times Square, I met a lot of women who were from out of town. And, when you meet women from out of town and they're just there for a few days, they're just, usually trying to get it in. So it was like, it just worked out very smoothly in certain situations,
Got it. Okay. The reason why I asked you that was because, I don't know if you're familiar with him. There's a YouTuber named Dave Parada. He's friends with How To Beast. Are you familiar with How To Beast?
Yeah, I know about him. Yeah.
Okay, so Dave Parada and How To Beast are like best buds. They used to be roommates back in Boston, right. And so I interviewed Dave last year, and he was saying that he and How To Beast used to learn freestyle rap and get good at it because it helped them with free association when they were talking to women. They could come up with stuff off the cuff. And so that's what made me think of to ask you about
that's a good idea too. Cause that's why people take like improv and all those things. Like those are very good things to do, because a lot of guys, that's what trips them up, is that they just don't know how to be in the moment and like interact, and that, what I'm saying, that kills the situation a lot of times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. So I saw in a TikTok that you've been married for 15 years, but you also have a girlfriend that you've been seeing for 3 years.
Right.
Do they know about each other?
Oh yeah, they know about each other. Yeah.
Okay.
they went out and hung out, got drinks, all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they know about each other. So yeah, so I'm not monogamous. So I've been with my wife for that long, for like 15 years, and then my girlfriend, we've been together for 3 years and stuff. And yeah, so it's just been good. Like back in the day, I was monogamous, and I like the last girl I was monogamous with, I cheated on her like 18 something times. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like I felt bad. I was like, yo, this is not, I can't do this monogamy thing anymore. So I was like, look, I gotta just be honest. And so when I met my wife, we were, just seeing each other. We weren't like together or anything like that. It was just kind of like dating phase. And, she was like, oh, I want to be with you, like, seriously. And I said, well, this is the thing, I don't want to be monogamous. So if you cool with that, then we good. You understand? So she was cool with that, and we just kept rocking from there. And then, when I met my girlfriend, she knew that I had a wife, and, she was like, hey, I'm cool with it. Let's go. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how we made it happen. You know what I mean? And it's like totally fully open, right? Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No drama there. No, I'm just curious.
That's the thing. It's funny because it's actually less drama than when I was in a monogamous relationship. Because now, because it's open, see what the interesting part about being non-monogamous and being, in a more open situation is that it actually opens up like better communication, right? So a lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, aren't you like, people say, well, you're in an open relationship and you're doing your thing, and like your wife might be doing your thing, or your girl might be doing your thing, or whatever, right? And they're like, aren't you afraid of STDs? Now, the funny part is that a lot of times people in monogamous relationships are more likely to catch an STD than a person in an open relationship. Now, the reason why is because let's say I go out with a random girl that I hook up with her, right? And let's say, of course, I'm like going to use protection or whatever. And then let's say, just for sake of argument, the condom pops, right?
Yeah.
So I can go to my girlfriend or my wife and say, hey, listen, I got to go get checked. We got to use a condom or whatever, because I don't want to give you anything, yada, 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 right? But if I was in a monogamous relationship and I was messing with another girl, I'd be cheating. So I don't want my girl to know I'm cheating. So if the condom pop, and let's say I don't use condoms with my girlfriend, I can't go back to my girlfriend and be like, hey, let's use condoms now. She's gonna be like, why are we using condoms? And then now we got to get into the conversation of me cheating. So in order for me to not let her know I cheated, I'm gonna just keep having sex with her without a condom, and then she might catch something. So that's like a simple explanation of how that could happen, because in monogamous relationships, when you do certain things, you might want to keep that from your partner, because you're scared of what that's going to mean for, what your partner is going to do with that information. But in an open situation, the communication is a little bit more open and free flowing, because you don't have that fear that your partner is going to leave you because you were, like checking somebody out or with somebody else in that context. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense. So just another question, and this is purely just my curiosity. There's no judgment at all, but why get married at all?
Well, for me, this is the thing. I tell guys this is that, and this is, that's a good question because I always tell guys this because I get that question a lot. The reason why to get married, and I don't think any guy should get married unless he actually wants it and unless he actually understands what it means to be married and the responsibility is. So I always try to get guys to understand that because it's not for everybody. Like anything else, everything isn't for everybody. But the reason why I got married is because there's a certain level of cooperation that you can't get from a woman unless she's in a certain position in your life. And this is what a lot of guys don't understand. So guys will be like, well, why should you get married? You can still have the same thing with a woman who's like just you hooking up with them. Like, no, you can't. So what happens is that a woman is going to give you a certain level of cooperation based off of the position she's in. So let's say, for example, I'm just hooking up with a random girl and I've been hooking up with her for 6 months, right? She won't do the things that I need her to do specifically that my wife would do for me. Mm-hmm. So what would need to happen is that woman would need to be in a higher position or a different position in order for me to get that type of cooperation from her. So there's a cap on cooperation based off of the spot the woman is in. And the reason why that happens is because that's the woman's bargaining chip. So now this is the thing. If you want, it's almost a give to get thing. So for example, I'll use an example for like a job. This is a perfect, easy way to understand this. If you're working in the mailroom, right? I can't tell you to do vice president work of the company because vice president work of the company is it's probably way more work than a mailroom. And the vice president is getting paid probably 10, 15 times more than you. So now imagine I say, hey, mailroom guy, I want you to do the vice president's work. All of his work, I'm going to pay you the same as the mailroom stuff. You're not getting any raise. You're not even getting your own office. You're going to stay in the mailroom, but you're doing all the vice president's work. The mailroom guy doesn't look at me like I'm crazy. Like, hell no, I ain't doing that. Right now, in order for that mailroom guy to do the vice president work, I got to get him in the office, put his name on the door, put vice president so-and-so, raise his salary, then he will do vice president work for me. You see what I'm saying? So the same thing happens in, any type of relationship you with a girl. So if you're hooking up with a girl, you'll get hookup cooperation. If you're dating a girl, you get dating cooperation. A girl's your girlfriend, you get girlfriend cooperation. You got fiance cooperation, marriage cooperation. Now, the only way that's going to happen also, too, is that you need to be the type of guy who is a leader, who is dominant, and who is masculine, because there's a lot of married men who are out there who aren't leaders and who aren't dominant, who are masculine. So they're usually their wife's bitch. You see what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of guys don't want to get married. Hold on one second. This is my food. Sorry about that. Hello?
Hello. How are you for delivery?
All right. I'm going to come there soon. All right. Thank you. I'm gonna get my wife to get it. But yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a sort of like a give and take. So if you want this level of cooperation, you gotta have her in a certain position, but you don't just give her the position. She also has to earn that position. So you don't say, damn, well, I'm gonna just make her my wife because I want a certain level of cooperation. Nah, she has to earn that position in order to even be in that position of wife or girlfriend or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like the whole wifey level TikTok trend that was going on for a while there. Mm. Did you see any of those?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
There's this whole trend where women are like, I'm sorry, that request is wifey level.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's true.
Yeah. The funny thing about that, though, is I kind of feel like women expect men to be at the husband level, like from the get-go.
Right. Exactly. That's true. That's true. That's so true. But you can't even give them that. That's the thing. So for what happens is that what you can give a woman is guidance and leadership. So she sees that you are the type of guy that she would want as that guy, but you don't give her the title yet. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like a company. You say, hey, my company is Google. You can see that my company is on point. This is how we do. We get things going. So you see that I'm a man who's on point. So listen, if you rock with me, you're entry level now, but you can become manager, supervisor, vice president later. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all it is. You know what I mean? But the thing is, a lot of guys, the reason why they're a certain way about marriage is because most women run the marriages for those guys. That's why they're, you know what I'm saying? So when you're in that position, it's a wrap for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't even do that. Right. You see what I'm saying?
You're screwed. All right, man. Well, your food just came. So, and we're at an hour. So we'll go ahead and end here. Where can people find you online, man?
Oh, yeah, definitely. First of all, I appreciate you having me on your podcast, man. I definitely see the hard work you put in, man. And I love your videos. You know, I love the TikToks and everything like that. You know what I mean? I'll be watching the comments and people going back and forth. So I appreciate what you do, man. And yeah, guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Real Mr. Locario. And also you can go to my main site, MrLocario.com. That's MrLocario.com. And also you can go to badboymembership.com. That's where you get 45 through 90 minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. So if you want to join the Bad Boy membership, you go to badboymembership.com. If you want any of my books, go to MrLocario.com. So you get my book, How to Have Sex 2 Women a Day. Also, you can get the Game Kings documentary on MrLocario.com. Or you can get it for free if you join the Bad Boy membership. So if you join the membership, you can watch the documentary for free on the membership. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? So
all right. That's great. I'll put links to all this stuff in the description, man. All right. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thanks. Appreciate you, man.
Mr. Locario, thank you so much for joining me this week. It was really good that we were able to finally connect because we've been following each other on TikTok for quite a while. And, you know, like I said at the beginning, I really love your videos. I like your advice. You have some really cool catchphrases that sometimes I steal, but I always give you credit. I always give you credit when I do it. All right, guys, I hope you got something good out of that. Definitely check all the links in the description. You know, help support the show. You know, this show's not monetized by Google AdSense. No. The only way I make any kind of money is if you guys listen on audio, because that's monetized. But otherwise, you got to help me out by using some of the sponsors. You know, like buy some Duke Cannon cologne. I don't know, whatever. But check out the sponsors. Also check out Mr. Locario's links in the description as well, and give him some love. Other than that, guys, we'll catch you next week.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.